I think people give up because they don't believe what they see. People don't believe the greatness that's in them. Because the world created this superstar elite group that's just human, just like us. But when we see them on television, we look at them as higher than us. We look at them in a place where we think we can never get to. And the real reason is most people never get out the stands and get in the game. They stay fans their whole life. So I tell everybody, get off the stands and get in the game. Get in the game of life and leave your mark here. Every human being on this earth has their own journey. And when you don't focus on yours, you will not bring the great gifts and things that you were supposed to bring to the world.
Like, what's the point of having dreams, y'all? What's the point of having dreams if they're gonna just stay that? If they're gonna stay dreams forever, it gotta get to a point where you actually live in those dreams. You're gonna get to the point where those dreams turn reality for you. Those dreams become your reality. It's time for you to live it. It's time for you to breathe it. It's time for you to be it. It's time now to get more dedicated, to get less distracted, to go deeper.
Every next level of my life demands a new version of me. Oftentimes we got goals, dreams, and aspirations and want to acquire and do certain things, but you still the old version of you. You haven't grown. In no sense of the word. You haven't experienced enough. That's the great thing about experiences. People are so afraid of experiences, but the great thing about experiences, you learn who you are, what you possess, what you will do. You learn from different situations, different scenarios. When you fail, you learn. When it doesn't go the way you want it to, when it goes the way, you learn, right? How do you grow? You learn. How is character formulated and sustained? You learn, right? And so when it says, let the hard things in life break you and affect you, it's not saying let it break you to the point that you crumble. What it's saying is let it affect you.
If it's your time, that means your talent, your head knowledge, your heart, and your skill set and practice have come together so that you can step into the moment. When it's your time, no one can deny you. When it's your time, everyone can see it coming. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can own it, and you take dominion over that moment because it's your time. But if you wait on your turn, that's a sense of entitlement. Waiting for someone else to vacate a position is not how you get elevated. You learn, you watch them, you study them, and then you turn that idol into a rival. You battle for the position, you battle for the moment, and you discover what's deep inside of you.
Fight. Go down swinging. And I'll tell you, if you fight with all you have, more often than not, you won't go down at all. You will win. But you have to make that attitude a part of your everyday life. Do the extra repetition. Run the extra mile. Go the extra round. Make the right choices. Give the full measure. Make yourself stronger, mentally and physically. Stand and fight.
That hunger to be more, to do more, to give more, that hunger that never ends. If you can, I think everybody has that hunger, but for some people it's been asleep for a long time because they're afraid. They're afraid that I'm going to get hungry, I'm going to try, I'm going to fail. And so it's human nature to protect yourself from the fear by just lowering your expectations. You get what you tolerate in yourself, you get what you tolerate in your life, and sooner or later we sometimes hit a point where we say, not another day, not another hour, this is done. I'm not walking this way, I'm not talking this way, I'm not living this way, I'm gonna change it. And when people do that, that's the beginning of a breakthrough.
A lot of people sit back and they dream about being a sports figure, or dream about being a SEAL, or dream about being an astronaut, and all it is a motherfucking dream. They don't put the work behind the dream. That dream has become their master. When you become the master of your dream, the dream was the one thing I thought about, and the dream was now gone. Now, what comes in, the dream goes away, and the laundry list of details and tasks come up. Gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. That's when you become the master of your dream. So, a lot of people out there dreaming.
And every single one of you out there have the superpowers necessary for greatness. But until you're backed into a corner like an injured, hungry, thirsty dog, you don't really realize how much you have in you. That is something that no test can measure.
It's like it isn't obvious at all that we want happiness. It isn't even obvious that we want absence of misery. What's really obvious is that we want an adventure. Right? We want an adventure that's so compelling that it makes the misery of life not just justifiable, but worthwhile. You want to look back on your life, and you know this to be true. You want to be able to say to yourself, even considering a month or a week or a series of days, you want to be able to say, that was really difficult, but you know what? It was worth it. And I think that's what you want from your life. It's something like, you know what? That was difficult, but it was worth it. And that meant that the adventure was so great that it justified the difficulties.
Do I just sit there and settle? No, I don't. I say enough's enough, man, and I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to keep going until I get it. You chase something that you believe you deserve until you get it. And it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter how many times you get fired. It doesn't matter how many people don't believe in you. You just go until you get it.
The people in life that win play offense, not defense. Stop backing into everything. Stand up. Bow your back a little bit. Start to walk a little different. Start to be that best version of you.
You just have to feel it and know that you were placed here for a reason. If you dare to be great, if you dare to do something that you've never done before, if you dare to go to limits that you've never went to before, they will remember your legacy forever.
Telling yourself every day, and I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
You have to resolve yourself today that you're going to win, that you're going to dominate, that you're not average and ordinary. There has to become a point where you make a decision. We're going to dominate. We're here to win. We are not here to play. And that takes some intestinal fortitude. It takes a decision. I'm where I'm at because I just flat decided at some point I get to choose who I am. The world doesn't tell me who I am.
Hardships are a part of life, and while nobody enjoys pain, they can be valuable because they present an opportunity for personal growth. I like to say that you discover how deep your self-discipline goes when you struggle and not when everything goes well. You aren't self-disciplined because you worked hard when you were fired up to work. You're self-disciplined when you continue to work hard when the last thing you want to do is work. You aren't self-disciplined because you can't afford candy, so you don't eat it. You exhibit self-control when you deny the treats that are offered freely to you. For example, when you're at a party with a buffet selection of high-calorie snacks. You aren't self-disciplined when you wake up early in the morning to work on your new business. You're self-disciplined when you still wake up early in the morning when it seems that your business is going nowhere. Misfortunes aren't fun to deal with, but bearing them nobly strengthens your ability to handle even worse circumstances in the future. In a sense, trials and tribulations are like training. You may not enjoy it, but you know that eventually it will pay off and more than recoup for any suffering you're going through at the moment. We often limit ourselves because we don't think we can achieve something. Today, it may be hard for you to imagine that you can live without dessert or that you can live below your means. It doesn't mean it's impossible, though. It's only your subjective opinion, not a fact of life. Moreover, thinking that you're unlikely to win means that you'll put in less effort than you could. Why would you work your fingers to the bone if you were uncertain of success? Rock climbing has made it particularly clear to me. When you approach the route thinking that it's beyond your abilities, you won't do your best. After all, why try your best if you know that you aren't going to climb it anyway? You'll most likely give up when you encounter the first obstacle, while a person thinking they can climb it will fight as hard as they can to keep climbing. In the end, the person that doesn't believe in their abilities will give up along the way, while the person that is certain of their abilities will reach the top. Periodically, try things that you think are outside of your ability with a positive attitude and the belief that you can succeed. Chances are you'll get a positive surprise and achieve something you thought was beyond your reach. Science suggests that the fleeting happiness you get from succumbing to a temptation is inferior, at least when it comes to its effect on how your genes express, to the type of happiness you can draw out of a sense of purpose and meaning in life. According to the study, a person guided by a deep sense of purpose is less likely to suffer from inflammation and more likely to have a stronger immune system. While both types of happiness can generate the same positive emotions, it's those with high levels of eudaimonic well-being that benefit more. Since the results come from a study on just 80 participants, we shouldn't treat the conclusions as a broadly applicable scientific fact. However, there's definitely immense power in having a mission in your life. When all of your decisions are aligned toward a better future, even if you're suffering at times because things don't go as planned or it's hard to maintain self-discipline, you wake up fired up with vigor and a sense of purpose you'd never get if you were to prioritize hedonic well-being. Learn your weaknesses. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. They could include a particular type of food like chocolate, or social media like Instagram, or the latest addictive video game. Whatever it is, it can have the same effect on everyone. Self-discipline starts with acknowledging your imperfections, regardless of how small they may be. People try to make their weaknesses disappear in order to project a strong person. This can be very ineffective when it is about self-discipline. This is a poor way to approach self-discipline. Acknowledge your faults. It is impossible to overcome them unless you do. Remove all temptations once you have admitted your weaknesses. Everybody has their weaknesses. This can include small things like a poor diet or a habit that can hinder productivity, such as playing video games for long periods of time. If you are able to recognize your weaknesses, it is possible to make accommodations that will help reduce the temptations. One example is if someone is trying to lose weight but knows that their weakness is eating chocolate after dinner every night, the temptation would be to not buy more chocolate. It would make it impossible for them to succumb to the temptation of eating chocolate, which could hinder their progress in getting fit. But they can still eat chocolate. This means they can now indulge in their favorite snacks once they have met a certain percentage of the goal. To be self-reliant, it is important that you reward yourself. Set the goals and create an implementation plan. For self-discipline to be maintained, one must have a clear view of the goals they are trying to achieve. You must also understand what success means for you. It's easy for someone to lose their way or get sidetracked if they don't know where their goal is or how to accomplish it. It is important to be clear and concise in your goals. Begin building your self-discipline. Self-discipline can be learned and is not something people are born with. Self-discipline, like all other skills that people want to learn, requires practice and repetition. The more you exercise your muscles, the stronger and bigger they will be. The process of making changes takes time. For example, to build muscles and expand them, it may take several weeks before you see the results. Training self-discipline takes a lot of focus and effort. As you become more disciplined, it becomes more difficult to use your willpower. Sometimes people feel more able to resist temptations or decisions than they do to be able to handle other tasks. A good mindset creates a buffer against how quickly your willpower gets drained. You will also be able to exert more willpower if it is done more often than if it were just started. A new habit is necessary to increase self-discipline. It can feel intimidating at first, especially when you're focusing on one goal at a time. You can avoid this overwhelming feeling by keeping it simple. Break down your big goal into smaller, manageable steps. Instead of trying for one large goal or trying to change all your habits, try to focus on just one thing each day and develop your self-discipline. To get in better shape, you can exercise for 10 to 15 minutes every day. It is better to set smaller goals than trying to hit the gym for 2 hours every day. This can be overwhelming. Start small and Gradually increase your gym visits by establishing a routine. Once that goal becomes a habit, then you can focus on smaller goals and continue building words. Most researchers believe that there's a limit to the amount of willpower that we can use, but their research showed that those who believed that there was no limit had higher willpower stocks. They will probably not exceed their limits if they believe they have a limit on their willpower. But if someone doesn't have a set amount of willpower, they are less likely that they will reach their goals. In determining how much willpower a person has, a person's inner perception of their willpower and self-control plays a significant role. This is because if a person believes they have a large amount of willpower and can believe in themselves, they are less likely that they will lose it. Change the way that you think about your willpower. Think of it as a source that could run out, but which you can replenish through your beliefs. This mindset is much better than thinking that your willpower can run out. So be sparing with it.